All right, this is attempt number 3 or something of recording this. So there might be some editing here and there, but I'm gonna try to keep it as straightforward as possible and to follow the steps that, well, the order of the steps that I have in the written guide in case that you want to make sure what I'm doing. But disclaimer that the video version of this is meant for people that probably don't have a lot of experience with Blender in general, so I'm going to try to do every single step. If you have more experience with Blender, I think the written guide might be more up your speed. Um, so I guess as part of the disclaimer as well, I do not recommend salvaging 6.0 sculpts. Um, I guess in general, because the 7.0 faces are very good to sculpt, and also Customize Plus now can do a lot of the heavy lifting for modding faces. So I hope that if you're following this guide, it's because you understand this and you're like, I have no other option and I really, really want to salvage this 6.0 face instead of making a new one or getting a new one. Well, first things first, make sure that you got your text tools updated. And then we're going to go into character, face, and look for whatever vanilla face you're going to be using. In this case, I'm going to go into Viera Male Face 3. And now that it shows up, I'm going to do save as FBX. Save it however you want. I usually just leave it like this. And I also copy the address here so it's easier to get into Blender. So I'll save it. This you should be able to do without any other steps, but just as a note that the system state is safe mode, and right now I have transactions closed. But for the next part, we're going to open a transaction or open the menu for transactions and do prepare transaction. Just because we're going to bring in a mod, but we're not really going to use it for anything else. But before that, going to Blender, I'm going to use 3.6. So if there are any differences with 4.0, I won't be able to know. Just keep that in mind. We're going to delete everything that is currently here, just selecting it, hitting delete. And then I'm going to go into File, I'm going to import and do FBX. So here I can just copy the address that I got from the file that I exported out of Textools, and I can just like scroll in and look at it closer. To make things easier to work with, we're going to turn off the bones. So here in overlays, we're going to click off this check mark. And then we're going to go into the material preview mode, which is going to look a little bit funny because the transparency is weird. This doesn't matter too much, but in order to just get it clear out very quickly, you will go into the menu here, into the drop down where everything is, and then you can click on the first group that is the 0 group, and then go into the material properties and go here into the settings and change from alpha blend into alpha clip. So that's for the face mainly. Now I need to go into the next group, which is the 1.0 group, and do the same thing, alpha blend to alpha clip. Next group, group 2, alpha blend, alpha clip. Next group 3, alpha blend into alpha clip. And number 4, alpha blend into alpha clip. Once you select one of each of the groups, the rest of the parts are going to change as well. So now my face is completely visible. There are quicker ways to do this, but I feel like for new people, this is like the easiest way to do it without installing additional stuff into Blender. So, okay, I already have my face. Just to make sure that I don't get it mixed up, I'm going to name it Endwalker face. And then right now, I am not really going to do anything with the face. So I'm just going to minimize the end root, and then I'm going to make everything invisible by clicking or pressing Shift and hitting this eye over here. And now I'm going to go back into Text Tools, and I'm going to bring in the sculpt. So I'll go into Mods, import Modpack. So it doesn't really matter how the face is going to look in general because we're not even going to use these textures. But just as a quick way that we can fix that so it looks normal in Blender, I am just going to go into the material for face A, and then here I'm going to click on the normal, and you might, this is what your normal is going to look like, but currently the alpha channel is not what we want it to be. So I'm just going to do edit channel, and then in the channel I'm going to select the alpha, and then I'm going to click the fill button over here, just like this in 0, and do fill, and then apply changes, and I'm going to save. So now when I go into my face, it's not going to be red anymore. And when I save it like this and move it to Blender, the face is going to look like a normal color. So I'm going to save it as an FBX as I did before. I'm going to name it old sculpt so it doesn't rewrite the address that I have here. Save it. And now I'm going to bring it into the Blender file the same way that I did before. If you have ears on top of the face, make sure that you join them. You do that by clicking the ears, then clicking the face and doing Control J. In this case, I obviously don't have ears, so nothing is going to change. But well, everything else I actually am not going to use. I am simply using this part. So I will select everything else. It works like any other computer program where if you select one and then press Shift and click until the last part is going to select everything, and I can just do delete. So since this is the only part that I'm going to use, I'm going to change it in the settings from alpha blend to alpha clip, just in case. Not that it matters a lot with the face in particular, but well, we got our face in here. Make sure that you save. This is step 1 of the process, right? Now, what we want to do is to make sure that the face looks as similar as the Don't Drill ones now. So first I need to get rid of this part of the eye because this is no longer how the eyes work in the game. So I'm going to go into edit mode. I can change here directly, or I can just do the tab key to do it quickly. So in edit mode, I am also going to select the select mode for the faces. And I'm going to click the specific section of the eye and then do Control L, which is going to select the whole part of the mesh. This type of selection, usually there is a little menu here, and it lets you select how you want this selection to be delimited. I usually just set it as UVs. I don't think it makes a big difference with faces, but for other things it might. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And now that I have everything selected, I'm just going to delete it by faces. So I'll do the same here, Control and click, Control and L, and then delete the faces. And we also want to do that with the inside of the face. and you go through, you will see that we have some eye sockets here that we're not going to use. So similar to before, I can select here, then pressing Shift and selecting here, I do Control L, selects everything, and then I do again delete by faces. This didn't select all of it, so I'm going to do it again. Control L, faces. And also going to do that with the mouth socket. So everything here I selected, then Control L. Oh, I accidentally selected part of the face. I don't want that. I'll make it a little bit smaller. Control L. There you go. Delete by faces. And everything here now should be empty. Now, before we do anything else, let's go back into object mode. We're going to select the face and do Shift D. And also, if you see the face move, just click Escape. But with this, we made a copy of the face. And this copy is just going to be used to fix the normals in a moment. So I'm going to name it Data Copy. Right? I forgot also, let me name this and Walker face. All right. So this data copy that I have now, we don't need it. So I'll press Shift and click on the little eye so it goes away. And now we are ready to actually start fixing the face so we can copy the information from it. So now what we want to do is by selecting the face and then going into edit mode, we're going to select the whole face by pressing A. Now, this step is something that might not be needed, but I just got used to doing it. We don't want to change anything with the neck. So if you press Control and you select all of these faces, you will be able to unselect them. So I'm going to just do that because in general, we don't want to do or change anything with the neck. If we do, we're going to have issues later. So first, now that we have everything selected, we're going to do right click and do subdivide, and then right click again and subdivide again. Now, before we do anything else, we want to zoom in close to the lips. And then we're going to select here the toggle X-ray option. And again, doing the control select option, we're going to press down control and then deselect everything that is close to the lips because we don't want those parts to merge. And since we use X-ray mode, it's possible that something else got unselected. So make sure that you just select it again. All of this I want selected once more. All right, and now that we did that, we're going to press M and merge by distance. Now, if you click, if you do tab, you're going to see that our face is all messed up, but that's what the data copy is for. So in object mode, we're going to go here into the little wrench that says modifiers. And then we're going to add the modifier that says data transfer. So important that whenever you add a new modifier, you want to pull it from here with these little dots up. So it's higher up than the other modifiers. And now we're going to, in the source, we're going to select the data copy that I made. And we're going to select the following settings. Face corner data, click the little arrow so it shows a longer menu. And we're going to do custom normals and then nearest face interpolated, right? So now everything got cleaned up and it looks like it did before. Now I'm going to go into this little arrow that is right next to the X to cancel. Careful not to click that. And then I'm going to click it for a drop down and hit apply. So now I have my ideal mesh that I want to use for string wrapping. All right, so we are right now not going to use the Endwalker face for a little bit. So I am just going to press down on Shift and hide the everything with the eye. And then I accidentally named the original face Dawn Trail, so sorry about that. But named it Endwalker, but I just changed it to Dawn Trail. I'm going to unhide everything, and I already removed all of the extra parts that I'm not going to use. So like the scar, the beard, and all of that, I never used them for this sculpt. So I just removed them and left the other ones. And again, if you have ears, make sure that you join the ears to the face before we do anything else. And then we're going to hide all the other parts because we don't really need them at the moment. And then when we got our face, we're going to go here into the object data properties. And in the shape keys, we're going to just select the shape keys and press the minus button that we have here and just get rid of all the shape keys because we're not going to use them or need them. And then the next settings I use just to make things a little bit easier on the next step, which is I go into solid mode. And here in the overlays, sorry, not in the overlays, in the shading, I'm going to select instead of material color, the random color. So it's a little bit easier to see one of the faces on top of each other. If I unhide the Endwalker one, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show both of the faces, and then I'm going to go into sculpt mode. And in sculpt mode, I'm going to use specifically the elastic deform tool. Now, before, make sure in object mode that you have the Dawn Trail face selected when you are doing this. And then before you do anything, make sure that you enable mesh symmetry on the X axis. So everything is going to move on both sides of the face at the same time. And I use the X-ray mode for certain parts, but I just turn it on and off depending on what I need. So we're going to slowly just select our Endwalker parts, and we're going to move them as close to the Endwalker skin as possible, particularly the nose, the eyes. The eyes between a sculpt and the vanilla tend to be pretty different. So just try to match it best you can, just to avoid weird normals. The lips and the eyes tend to be the trickiest part, so be patient. If your original face has more of the sculpt has a bit of a frown or a smile, make sure that you are kind of matching that. If you cannot tell right away, also turning on and off the both the Endwalker and the Dawn Trail phase will maybe give you a better perception of what else needs to be changed. Make sure not to touch the neck. We don't want to mess with the neck or the scalp at all. We're just going to leave them. The details that matter the most are eyes, nose, and lips, basically. Perhaps ears. If you have ears, be very careful how to adjust around the ears as well. And well, with this, we can hide the Endwalker face again. And now our Dawn Trail face is almost ready. There is just one more thing we have to do here, which is in either the solid mode or the material mode, whatever you prefer, but I think in material mode it's easier to see. When you go into the face inside, you'll see we also have our eye sockets and the mouth sockets. So we will go into edit mode by pressing tab. We'll select the eye sockets again and do Control L. And then we're going to press P to separate by selection. And if you see now we have a new part here that is just for the eye sockets. And we're going to do the same with the mouth. So very carefully, I'm going to select as many parts of the mouth as I can from different angles. And then I'm going to do Control L to select them. I'm going to continue doing this, Control L, Control L. Now I think I have everything selected right now. So again, I'm going to press P and separate by selection. And if I go into object mode, I can hide these things right now, but you'll see that I'm still missing this part. So again, selecting the face and going into edit mode, I'm going to select everything, all of this with Control L. You'll see that there is like this, there's this big mouth section, but there's also like basically the inside of the lips that are connected in here. Just let me keep a better look of it. Like these, if I hide this, you'll be able to see better. Like this little mouth flap is basically just like the lips but curved inwards. So you can't see how they finish on an edge, basically. But we're also going to make sure that we select that along with this part of the inside of the mouth. And we're going to do P selection. And then in object mode, we're going to select it and hide it. So the inside of the face is now completely empty, right? Make sure to save here. And now our face is technically ready for the Shrinkwrap modifier. And we're going to go here by selecting the Dawn Trail face and then going into Object Data Properties. We're going to now go into the vertex groups where all of the weights are. And we're going to add one more group with the plus symbol. So this group, I'm just going to name new group like this with big letters so I can identify it quickly. And then I'm going to go into weight paint mode while making sure that the new group is selected. So this is to preserve the sculpt of the Dawn Trail face because all of the heads now have basically the same shape for the sculpt, so the hair can be fitted a lot quicker to every single race. So this is definitely an upgrade that we want to keep. So I tend to use the gradient tool for this, making sure that the weight is at 1.000, and then I just click and drag. I want basically uh, all of this section to be red, and just be very careful with the back of the face, because this is what is going to remain the same for everyone else. So once I do like the main red part for everything, I can just switch back into, turn down the weights onto 0, and then do a little bit of adjusting here for this specific section. If you find like maybe with your ears you're having some issues, you can use the smear tool and just like make some quick adjustments if you feel like you need a little more red in some of the areas, or here like in the forehead, if it's not as wide as you want it, you can just extend it with this tool. So now that this is set, I can go into object mode again. I'm going to open my modifiers. I'm going to add a Shrinkwrap modifier, and I'm going to pull it up here. Then I have my Endwalker face hidden, but if I go here into the eyedropper, I can just select it, and it's automatically going to be shrink wrapping around it. Now, there might be some differences depending on your sculpt, but I think that the wrap method that looks best for most things is the target normal project. So I'm going to set it up as that. And I'm also going to do here in the Vertex group, I'm going to write new group and select the one that I did. I am seeing that my eye is doing something strange. So let me see if so for example, in a previous sculpt that I did, target normal project was ideal, but nearest vertex, if you notice that there are weird parts, like maybe, let me actually change something really quickly to demonstrate how it would look. For example, here, I see that there is like dark areas over here. Then you can change into sculpt mode, and you can try to like grab those parts of the face and just like adjust them as necessary. Here the face also broke because of what I did, but just to give you an idea. Um, and do like some adjusting to see what makes the dark areas disappear, basically. Yeah, so this is one of those things that, depending on your face sculpt, how it's shaped and how it's divided and so forth, you might have some better results depending on certain things. So in this case, I think for this particular face, nearest vertex, it might be nearest vertex or nearest surface point. I think I'm going to go with nearest vertex. Yeah, I leave it as nearest vertex. And then once this is all set up, I can just go here, click, and do apply. I technically have already done everything that I needed, but there's a chance that you might need to go back a little bit and adjust a few things. I actually, as a tip, if you are doing this and you notice that there are things that are still like you already made adjustments and is still not looking great, you can use the smooth corrective uh, modifier. And here with the factor section, you can make some adjustments to see what um, makes things look a little bit better. Um, for my particular sculpt, now because I decided to make this change first, I am going to first do the corrective smooth. Let me look. Yeah, I'm going to put it at the top first, and then I'm going to do apply, and then I'm going to do the shrink wrap modifier. You might want to play around with the settings depending on how it's looking, of course. You kind of have to eye it a little bit. Now comes the probably most um, tiresome part. It's a little bit of a work of love, I think, which is we have to unhide our eye sockets first. And now, since we moved things around, obviously the eye sockets no longer connect to the face. So I'll select the eye sockets. I'll go into edit mode by pressing tab. And then instead of using the face selection mode, I'm going to change into the vertex one. And I'm going to use the snap tool. Keep in mind that if at any point you have turned on proportional editing, you want to make sure that is off now. And right now I have the symmetry axis, but I find that this one in edit mode doesn't always work. So for now, I'm going to turn it off. Click this drop down. Usually it's set up as increment by default, so we're going to change it into vertex. And now when you select it, you should be able to move it a little bit easier. And it's going to connect to the next closest vertex. So thankfully, my eyes here didn't change too much. So this is not something that is going to take a lot of time. But obviously, if you have very big eyes or they're just like very differently shaped from the other one, this might be a little bit more work. Now I'm doing it on the other eye, and I also turn on the X-ray mode because in some cases you have like overlapping vertices that are not necessarily connected, so it's a little easier to just select like all of them at the same time, and that makes things faster. Now we're going to do the same thing with the mouth, but the mouth socket definitely takes more work. So first I'm just going to select the eye sockets. Then by pressing shift, I'm going to select the head as well, and then do Control J to join them. If I go into edit mode and select with A, I will be able to merge everything. But before I do that, I'll just make sure that, again, I deselect the middle of the lips because I don't want them to accidentally get merged together. And then I'm going to do M and then by distance, and that should remove some of the vertices and ideally join everything here in the eye sockets, but just give them a quick look to see that they didn't get separated or messed up. And now I'm going to bring back first this mouth section that I want to be connected. You can go about this in a few different ways. Sometimes you can select the faces in edit mode like this and make sure, actually, I'm going to turn off the X-ray mode because I don't want the inside of the mouth to be um, influenced by this. So because of the inside, it's still being like here. This is being selected. I'm going to unselect it. And now if I press H, all of this stuff is going to disappear and I will be able to see what part of the lips connects with what. Since I don't currently remember exactly how to do this right now, I am going to grab the mouth part and join it to the uh, main face. So with Control J, I'll join it. So now that I am in edit mode, I will be able to look at everything cut off like I had it a moment ago. And then here I can see the separations where they're no longer connecting. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the eye sockets, and I'm going to select the snap tool and here in the vertex select mode and just very slowly move all of the parts here, uh, either one by one or at the same time. Oh, by the way, for everything to show up again, you need to do Alt H, and then it's going to bring back everything as it was. Now, I don't need to join the parts. I think that this will depend on a couple of things. Sometimes just putting them on top of each other is enough, but it's worth testing. So, in order to test it, we're going to first go into the overlays and turn on the bones. Then select the bones, and here in this little green guy, I'm going to select him and go into the viewport display. I'm going to select that I want the objects to be displayed on front. And just to make them a little easier to manipulate, I'm going to change the display from octahedral to stick. So that should be a little bit easier to touch and move. Now, still selecting on the skeleton, I'm going to change from object mode into pose mode. And this will allow me to select each of the bones that I want to move. I'm going to do these two that are one after the other by pressing down Shift. I can just select all of them. I think I only want these. And then I'm going to press G and Z so it moves on an axis. And I'm going to open it like this. So now I can look in and look how the lip looks after I joined it. I think that looks good enough. See, there is like a bit of a separation here. And probably on this other side, well, it's not as obvious, but yeah, a little bit. So I can select, I believe, if I go back into edit mode, everything is going to close again. So let me make sure that I believe in object mode, I select here. Okay, so I selected everything and I have these edit mode display modifier on. So now when I go here, I can see what are the parts that are not connected. So I'm going to bring them here. I'd be careful because in this particular mode, I've had issues making the snap tool work, and I'm not completely sure what makes it not work like that. But so I'm going to turn it off and just like manually bring it closer. I'm going to select the two vertices that I want to join, and I'm going to do merge by distance. Sometimes they are not close enough to merge, so I'm going to just open here and move this until the vertices that I want are removed. So here, I'll select these two, merge by distance. Oh, okay, yes, these work. I was worried for nothing. And then this one and this one, merge by distance. There we go. So the hole is gone now. And I'm gonna do the same over here. If I see some big separations, I might want to like pull them together and just join them. Merge by distance. Might be easier in X-ray mode as well because they sometimes overlap and they're hard to select one over the other. These ones as well, I'm going to merge by distance. I'm only merging by distance because I noticed that they are still pretty separated, but most of them are animated, or I should say they're being posed as intended. So I don't really need to join all of them if I don't want to. If you want to select all of them, there's also this method that Major Praline recommended to me, which is you can open a new window or area here by clicking where the little arrows meet, and then do a vertical split open here. And then over this section, we're going to go into the UV editor. You need to select, well, you don't need to, but it's easier if you go and select a texture here that matches the face. So I'm going to select the face diffuse that Blender has. And on this side, I'm going to select everything in edit mode and do A so I can look at the UV. And if you zoom in, you will find that these over here are the area that we're trying to connect. In order to see it reflected in the model, you can turn on this little button that says UV sync selection. And so right now it selects everything because everything is selected over here. But if I deselect, just click away, you'll see that now if I select this part, it's going to show me like all of the vertices from here. And it would be a little bit easier also to see like if they are actually connected to the sections that I want or if they're not. So that's also a way to like find what else is not in the area where it's supposed to be. But additionally, you can go here, and this section is the inside of the mouth that we've been trying to adjust. So you can select them as well, and you can do M merge by distance. And since I moved the number over here, everything just got like connected in the middle, which I don't want. So I'm going to just click on it and hold and then move back uh, as much as possible. And since they since I put a lot of vertices on top of each other, they are kind of like mixed up and they are joined or getting joined in areas that I don't want. So I think that since I already adjusted everything in a way that worked okay, I'm not going to use this because it's giving me more trouble. But it's a way to kind of like figure out where the vertices are as well, and you will be able to join things a little bit better or identify them a little bit better. Um, and well, once you are done and you're like, all right, my lips work, this is great. You can also like click here on the divide of the areas and join them when you're done. Um, and this was the most difficult part to fix. So now I can just like hide well, before I hide the bones, I'm going to select the bones. I'm going to go into the object data properties, and I'm going to, instead of using pose position, I'm going to click rest position. And now I can hide the bones again. Lastly, I'm going to unhide my teeth. Anyway, select it, and then select the face and do Control J to join it. And now I'm going to, I still have my new group, by the way, here in the weights, but I'm just going to delete it. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to very quickly select my bones again, do the pose position. I think the lips look okay. I'll change into pose mode again just to like open the other section of the lips a little. Let's see how they look. So G, Z, and I open them like this. These are the ones for the teeth, so I'm going to select it. Select this one down. Looking in the inside of the mouth, we don't have any holes. It looks okay. I don't need to fix anything else. It seems that might change later. Look, we have a little bit of like a separation here of the lips. Instead of, let me go here. So a little bit of a separation here. So I'm going to select this area and join them by distance. This and this. It doesn't have a vertex to join, but I'm going to just move it like this. Make sure that they are aligned more or less properly. Yeah. This one I think looks better. So I don't need to do, maybe just join here. All right. I think that's good enough. All right, so I'm done. I'll select here, put this in rest position, hide my bones, and we are almost done, but don't forget to save first. So for the next part, we are going to unhide um, piece by piece of the rest of the face. So starting with the eyes, for my particular case, the change wasn't so big that I need to adjust the eyes, but you can, if you need to adjust them, you can just go into, with the X-ray mode on, go into edit mode, select the eye that you want to change with the symmetry x-axis, and go G and X. So to move it on the x-axis, or G and Z if you need to move them up and down, or G and Y if you need to just push them inwards or out. So whatever you need to do, um, I am going to hide them. Um, well, I'll keep them on right now, just to show. The next thing that I have is the little. Let me show it in solid mode. We have this little cover over the eyes now that basically make things, or prevents the eyes from shining too much. So you want them to cover the eyes completely while resting on the outside of the eye. You can just connect them with the snap tool. I had already done this. In this case, it kind of like cuts into the face a little bit, but if you look at it in the material preview mode, this section doesn't really matter. So I'm going to leave it as it is. You probably don't need to change any of the weights. Just make sure that you fit it around the eyes properly. Then after this, you will have your eyelashes and eyebrows probably together. So this is something that or this is the order I like to do things, because usually they come together, and for the most part you don't want them to be together while you are working on them, because they have different weights and stuff. So the first thing that you're going to do is select everything in edit mode, and do P and separate by loose parts. So this is just going to put everything in different sections, and you'll see that, for example, the eyebrows are now two different meshes. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna join them, because the eyebrows just work together fine. You will probably have some shape keys. Depending on the shape that you want for the eyebrows, you might want to keep a shape key, or maybe just get rid of all of them. Um, you can choose. I usually just get rid of all of them completely. And then in edit mode, sorry, before we do anything with the eyebrows, we're going to join them. So we do Control J, and with this they will be its own section, their own part, sorry. And it's easiest to deal with them like this. I am going to just very quickly backtrack to what I had already done before the video. Hang on. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to separate them by loose parts. Right now, these I'm going to join them, and then since your eyebrows are probably going to be like either hiding under the face or just clipping through the face, we're going to go into the modifiers here, and we're going to do add modifier shrink wrap and put the shrink wrap modifier up. And we're going to, in the target, select the face, and then you're going to change the snap mode to above surface. And in the offset, you're going to do period 0004. I think this is a little bit easiest to see in solid mode. So usually this is the number that works best with things that are on top of the face, but you might need to adjust a couple of things here and there. Maybe you might change the number to a 5 or an 8, depending on what you're doing. But if you see, like, 4 works just fine with the eyebrows. And then when it's already done, you can just hit apply, and now your eyebrows are placed where they're supposed to be. The weights might be different, so we're going to go into the object data properties, the green rectangle, and with the minus symbol, you're going to get rid of all of the weights. We're not going to use, we're going to redo all of these. So first, in object mode, you will select the face, then pressing shift and clicking on the eyebrows, you'll go to weight paint mode. And here you can click weights and transfer weights. So the settings that you want for this, here in the transfer mesh data, if you don't see it, it might be because it's minimized. So just make it bigger again. And vertex mapping, you do nearest face interpolated, and then you change the source layer to by name, and that will copy all of the weights from the face. So that's the eyebrows. We are going to hide them right now because they're not as important. And then here we're going to see, well, mine are already fixed up, but it's very likely that you will see that your, actually, let me see if I can make it look like that. This is probably what yours kind of look like. So we're going to first, I think it's easiest to first just get rid of 2 of the side. I'll get rid of actually these ones, so you can look at how we fix these. So when you have the eyelashes, if you turn on the face orientation, you will see that they're probably all red with some blue chunks because the faces are messed up. So first we want to fix that by selecting all of the eyelash that looks wrong, and we're going to do mesh, normals, recalculate outside. And if you haven't, you can do merge by distance with M, and then do normals and set from faces. So with this, all of the faces are going to be uniform and look nice. I'm going to also turn this one mesh, normals, recalculate outside, and then mesh, normals, set from faces. So they're both looking at the same, and actually, hang on. Yeah, let me make sure that it's just one mesh. So both of them are going to be looking on one direction. If you look down, you will able to see, like, this is the other side of the face that is not going to be showing. So what this does in the game is that if you look at the eyebrows like this in the game, you will be able to see them. But if you look down, this side is not going to show in the game because of this face orientation being red. So what we want to do in order to prevent that is to copy the eyelashes or make a copy and flip the faces so you can see the eyelashes on any from any perspective. But before you do that, you will probably have to connect everything with the snap tool in the correct, put it closer to your eye again. Mine is already done, but be careful how you do it and the angle that you choose to do it. It takes a little bit, and then you'll have to do the same thing with the lower side, connecting with the snap tool little by little. And once you're done, once your eyelashes are properly adjusted to the eye, remember to save frequently. You're going to select both parts and join them with Control J, and so you can see the difference of what we're doing. I'm going to show the face orientation again. We're going to select the eyelash and do Shift D and oh sorry, I have the snap tool on. Shift D and enter. And now I have a copy of the eyelashes that I'm going to flip. So in edit mode, I select all of it, and then I do mesh, normals, and flip. So now you see that the faces that we that are that were down here are now up here and vice versa. So now the eyelashes, once I show both of them, you'll see that they acquire a pinkish tone from here and a more purple tone from below, like a purplish tone, because now they are like overlapping, and we have now they're overlapping, so that means that I have both faces looking here, and the eyebrows will be visible in the game. So technically with this, my eyelashes are done on this side, so I'm just going to copy them over here, and I'll do that by selecting them and doing Shift. Oh, hang on, let me join these two. So we have both of the sides of the faces, so I'll Control Join. And now that the eyelashes are one set, I'm going to do Shift D, Enter, and then Control M X, so it mirrors it, and press Enter. Now, Blender sometimes causes issues when you mirror things. So in order to prevent this, we're going to, I'll do solid mode so you can see it better. In order to prevent issues with the faces, what we're going to do is select the thing that I just mirrored and do Object, Apply, Scale. And usually what that does is like it flips the normals. I think that since I have two sides of the faces now, for the eyelashes, this is not going to make a big difference. But just for future reference, once this happens, you go into Mesh, Normals, Flip, and now everything will look as it's supposed to. So now they look the same faces wise, right? These colors means that I have both in and out faces overlapped, so the eyelashes are going to be visible no matter the angle. And now an important thing, since I had the weights for this particular side of the eyelashes, when I flipped the copy, the copy still has the same weights. So I need to change the weights. If you look here again in the object data properties for the vertex groups, all of the weights that have a mab something, they are the eyelashes. So I have here mab dn, which is down, mab dn, mab up, mab up, mab up. So, you know, upper side of the eyelashes and the down side of the eyelashes. Right now, these eyelashes that are in the right side have weights from the left side. So this is easy to correct because I can just go here and select all of the weights that have an R. I'm going to get rid of the R for all of them. And then the ones that have an L, I'm going to replace with an R. And then the ones that I deleted, I'm just going to add the L. So now my eyebrows have the right weights, and that means that now I can join them. So I select my eyelashes from here, my eyelashes from here, and I do Control J and I join them. I can just join them again if I want to, like the eyelashes to the eyebrows, because they are supposed to come together, which means that they don't have any attributes because you don't adjust them in the character selection, sorry, in the character creator or anything like that. But it's also likely that the eyelashes might need some adjusting. It's not always it's hard to know, and since eyelashes tend to be a little difficult to deal with, I prefer to like not touch them unless I see that they have issues in the game. So right now I'm going to just leave them separate for now. I have 3.0 for the eyebrows, and then 3.1 is the additional lashes, and 3.2 is additional eyebrows. So I'm going to just rename the eyelashes as 3.3, so I can uh, weight them differently later if I need to, differently from the eyebrows. But then I need to continue adjusting things. So now for the extra eyelashes, I need to do the same thing with the... Oh, and hang on, because this one I need to do in X-ray mode because it's over layered. So actually I can show the process a little bit easier. In order to not do it twice, right, because it sucks doing it twice, you can do the X-ray and hope that it works all right, but it might not always. So, it's one option, but don't assume that it's gonna come out perfectly. See, this is moving some of the vertices, but I don't think it's doing all of them. So since I don't want it to give me trouble, I'll do the same thing I did with the other eyelashes. I'll delete them. I'm also going to, if we look at the face orientation of these, they are already overlapping. So I'm going to just merge them completely, have them be only one side. Here. And I'm going to do normals, recalculate outside, normals set from faces. And they have shape keys as well, so I'm going to get rid of them. And now I'm going to fit them to the face. Let's see this. I'm going to repeat the same thing that I did before, which is first, now that they're fitted, I'm going to duplicate them with Shift and D, press Enter, and then do Control M X, press Enter. And now, for real, I'm going to join them. Now I have my extra eyelashes. And actually, I believe that for my particular sculpt, I don't use the extra eyebrows. At least I don't think I do. So I'm just going to get rid of them. There we go. I have my eyelashes, I have my eyebrows. Then there is the makeup that Viera have for the eyes. So for that one, I'm going to get rid of the shape keys first. And then I'm going to get rid of the vertex groups because I'm going to need to copy them anyway. And then I'm going to do modifiers, add modifier, Shrinkwrap, then bring the Shrinkwrap up, select, do nearest face surface point and above surface, and then 0.0004, and that actually just looks ideal, so I don't need to do anything else there. So I'll just apply it, and then I'll transfer the weights. First I select the face, then the makeup, and then I go into weight paint mode, weights, transfer. And since I already had set up the settings, they are already correctly copied. Perfect. Last thing is the mole. So going to get rid of the shape keys, going to get rid of the weights. And technically, you're done here. Technically. But first, we need to bring the face back into Textools. Now, before I bring it into Textools, I do want to just show very quickly something that you might want to do. It's not necessary always, but I noticed that uh, after I shrink wrapped, my eyes didn't get like a perfect normal look to them. Like if you see there are like these dark spots, and that's the only section that seems to be a problem at the moment. Like everything else looks fine. But if you have sections like this, I just want to very quickly show. You can select the section in edit mode, and selecting the face mode, you can select all of that area that is kind of like not looking great. You can change the select box by pressing down on it and selecting the circle, for example, that I think gives you a little bit more control on what to select. And you can just like select the area that is not looking great. Ideally in sections that make sense. So for example, this is the inside of the eye. So all of this looks good. Here, what is actually inside is not going to matter, but maybe the edge will matter. And now that I have it selected, I'm going to go into mesh normals and I'm going to do reset vectors. So most of the time, that's going to be enough and you won't need to do anything else. Other thing that you can try is with mesh normals and smooth vectors. Sometimes that also like cleans things up a little bit. That looks better. Just be very careful not to do it with the neck as well. And if you do it with the neck, you can try to copy the normals from the original face, like the Dawn Trail face. I'm going to just very quickly show how to do that in case that you messed up the neck. So you bring your, again, let me say one more time. So this is the Dawn Trail vanilla face. I only want the actual head, so everything else can just go. And this is the neck data face. You can hide it afterwards because it might confuse you to have it overlapping. And then when you select the face, you're going to go into the modifiers, add the data transfer modifier like we did with the Endwalker face originally. We're going to select the neck data as the source, but the vertex group we're going to set as the QB vertex group, which is the one for the neck. Exclusively the neck, that's what's going to get fixed. So we do the face corner data, custom normals, and then nearest face interpolated. My neck, I don't think had any issues, so this is mute. But with this, you would be making sure that there's not like a weird seam because of the normals. So you can just like apply this, and now your face is going to have the different look, but the neck is still going to be the original one per se. Well, for deleting all of this, you can select from here on the original little Y, click and do delete hierarchy, and then all of that will be gone quickly. Now, things that we should keep in mind when we are bringing things back into Textools. So first of all, right now I have the transaction status as closed. If you want to, I assume you want to make a modpack out of this. We're going to just begin a transaction and then close this because we don't need to work on it or do anything with it right now. We will go to our phase where we want to install the sculpt. In this case, for me, it's the Viera phase 3. And I am still going to use all of the textures, the eyebrows, the face, all of it. I'm still going to keep it vanilla. I personally don't need to make any changes in that sense, but I just should be careful because I removed a bunch of things like the tattoos and the beard. So if I change any of the numbers here, the numbers that these had, I might assign numbers that don't correspond to the face, and that means that some things are going to be toggable and others won't be. So just be careful with that. You might want to check. If you're completely new, this might be a little difficult to parse, but for example, here if I click edit model, you will see that you have group 0, group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. So these are the numbers that we have here: 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the numbers that are on the left, being 0, 1, 3, 1, and 2 are the parts. So, for example, if I want to figure out what part and number my eyelashes, my extra eyelashes are, they are 3.1. So group 3, part 1. And I can just see like, okay, group 3, part 1. You can see that the eyelashes that I selected have a face variant, which is an attribute that is named B. So when I am in the character creator, I will be able to toggle this on and off. This is only important for you to know in case that you don't want things to be toggable. In that case, you can just remove the attributes completely and you'll save yourself a lot of issues. But my character in vanilla has this already assigned, so I just leave it like that. If you look at these eyebrows that I separated, I can check like, is there a part 3.3? So I go, okay, 3 and part 3. Yes, there is. And it is a variant. So these eyelashes are going to disappear if I save it like this. So I'm just going to remove the attribute from here because I don't want it to be an attribute for the eyelashes that I separated. So, if you're keeping things and you want them to be toggable, go over the attributes. They're assigned as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in that order, depending on where they are in the creator, in the character creator. You can play with that if you want. I am not going to move any of the numbers here for that reason. I just want to keep it as it is. So I'll select the Dontrell face here. I'll do, with the right click, do select hierarchy. I'm going to go into File, Export FBX. And these are the settings that I want. First, limit to selected objects. Then I'm going to uncheck Bake Animation, uncheck Add Leaf Bones here in the armature, and uncheck Apply Modifiers in Geometry. After I decided to play around with this and I think I'm happy with what I did, confirm, make sure to save. This is very important every time in Textools. Everything that you do, you gotta save now. Now I'm going to load the phase that I just did. And for the most part, you don't want to touch anything when you're importing. Ideally, you're going to leave it alone, particularly clear vertex color and clear vertex alpha. You don't want to touch with faces or skin because the vertex have specific colors for certain things. So just leave it like this. Load the model and wait to see how it turns out. Sometimes, especially with sculpts, it might look fine here, but once it's in Textools, you might find some issues. Let's see what issues we got. So vertices had major corrections made to their weight data. You can ignore this, it's not important. And then Mesh 4 Part 2 has fully black vertex color channel. This can have unexpected results on in-game rendering. Was this intended? Ignore that as well, especially for faces. For other things it might matter, but with the face, you don't want to do anything about that. So you close it, you get your face, and you save it. Now, you might notice this is exactly what I was hoping would happen, there is a seam in the middle where the vertices join. This is a very easy fix, even if they're not visible here in Blender. Go into edit mode, select the vertex select, and we're going to, ideally with the select box, I think the select box might make it easier. Click on like the top vertice, and then you're going to press Control and click down the face. In some cases, it's not going to go straight, so you might need to go a little closer to the first vertex that you selected. When you reach the lips, it's going to go into a completely different direction. So you can just press Shift in order to select the next few vertices, and then you can continue using from here Shift and select. This has usually better results if you are also in X-ray mode, because some of them might be like on top of each other. Just make sure that after, if you use this, just do deselect everything else afterwards. But well, once you did this, you're going to do vertex and rip vertices. And without moving or doing anything afterwards, you just press enter twice. So 1, 2. And now that's technically it. Most of the time, that's it. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to do, again, select hierarchy. And you can see that the seam is no longer visible. So this is it for the guide. This is like the last step of the that I have on the guide. But of course, you have to like bring your sculpt into the game, see if it looks right, and it's likely that you will need to adjust some of the weights, like for example the eyelashes. But that will depend on each sculpt and everything. So if you have issues with that, like if you start trying to troubleshoot and you find things that you didn't expect, feel free to pop in Modding 101. We can help you out, figure out weights and other small details that might happen. But I hope that um, seeing the process in helped you figure it out, and hopefully you get good results that you're happy with. Just when you finish, make sure that you still have your transaction open. So go into your game files and make a PMP. It will tell you to get a target path. So it's just select wherever you want to save it, name it whatever you want. And then when you're done, commit transaction, and it's going to give you a Modpack that you can check in Penumbra. So that's it. Good luck, and I hope it turns out however you wanted it to turn out.